Dear little friends, I am the wise owl, your storyteller from the forest, and today I've brought you a classic tale, one that has been told for generations under moonlit skies and beside warm fires. Are you ready? Let me tell you the story of Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, in a peaceful little village near the edge of a great green forest, there lived a kind and cheerful girl. She was known to everyone as Little Red Riding Hood because she always wore a red cloak with a hood that her grandmother had made just for her. She was loved by all who knew her, especially her grandmother, who lived alone in a small cottage deep in the woods. One sunny morning, Red Riding Hood's mother packed a small basket with warm bread, cakes, and a little jar of butter. She called her daughter and said gently, "Your grandmother is feeling unwell. Please take this basket to her, but remember, don't talk to strangers and stay on the path." A Little Red Riding Hood nodded with a smile. "I promise, mother." She put on her red cloak, picked up the basket, and began her walk through the forest, humming a happy tune. The birds chirped above, and the path ahead looked peaceful, but deep in the shadows something was watching her. Something sly, something with sharp eyes, something waiting for a chance to trick her, and so her journey began. As Little Red Riding Hood walked deeper into the forest, the trees grew taller, and the sunlight danced through the leaves. Birds chirped sweetly, and squirrels scurried along the branches. She hummed happily, holding her basket with both hands. But she was not alone. Behind the trees, watching silently, was a sly and hungry wolf. He had been following her quietly, waiting for the right moment. Suddenly, he stepped out from behind a tree and smiled. "Good morning, little girl," said the wolf in a smooth voice. Red Riding Hood stopped. "Good morning," she replied politely, forgetting her mother's warning. "Where are you going on this lovely day?" the wolf asked, pretending to be friendly. "I'm going to visit my grandmother," she said, pointing down the path. "She lives in a cottage behind the big oak tree near the stream." The wolf's eyes gleamed. He smiled wider and said, "What a kind little girl you are. Why not pick some flowers for your grandmother? I'm sure she'd love that." Red Riding Hood nodded, stepping off the path to gather flowers. Meanwhile, the wolf grinned, turned around, and dashed toward grandmother's house, taking a shortcut through the woods. The wolf ran swiftly through the forest, taking a hidden shortcut he knew well. He leapt over rocks, slipped between trees, and soon reached the little wooden cottage that belonged to Red Riding Hood's grandmother. He knocked gently on the door. "Who is it?" came a soft voice from inside. "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood," the wolf said, trying to sound sweet. "I've brought you some cakes and butter from mother." Grandmother, who was not feeling well, replied, "Come in, my dear. The door is open." The wolf stepped inside, grinned wickedly, and before she could react, he swallowed her whole. Then he laughed quietly to himself and put on her nightcap and glasses. He climbed into her bed, pulling the covers up to his chin. A little while later, Red Riding Hood arrived at the cottage. She pushed open the door and softly called, "Grandmother, are you there?" From the bed, the wolf replied in a raspy voice, "Come in, my dear." Red Riding Hood walked slowly toward the bed, noticing something strange. Her grandmother looked different, very different. Something didn't feel quite right. Red Riding Hood stepped carefully into her grandmother's cottage. The room was quiet, too quiet. She tiptoed toward the bed, holding her basket tightly. Her grandmother lay under the covers, wearing a nightcap and large round glasses. Red Riding Hood frowned. Something didn't feel right. "Grandmother, what big ears you have," she said, stepping closer. "All the better to hear you with, my dear," replied the wolf in a raspy voice. "Grandmother, what big eyes you have," she said, now suspicious. "All the better to see you with, my dear. Grandmother, what big teeth you have. All the better to eat you with," shouted the wolf, throwing off the blanket and leaping out of bed. Red Riding Hood screamed, but just at that very moment the door burst open. A brave cartoon woodcutter who had been passing by heard the noise and rushed in with his axe. He shouted, "Step away from the girl, you wicked wolf." The wolf growled and tried to escape, but the woodcutter chased him out of the house and far into the woods. Red Riding Hood hugged her grandmother, who was safe and sound again, and thanked the brave woodcutter for saving them. Red Riding Hood and her grandmother sat together, smiling with relief. The cottage felt warm and safe once again. The brave woodcutter enjoyed a slice of cake, and everyone thanked him for his courage. Red Riding Hood promised never to talk to strangers again, and always listen to her mother's advice. And so, dear children, remember this: strangers may seem kind, but not all are true. Stay on the path, be careful and wise, and you'll stay safe, just like Red Riding Hood too. See you next time for another magical tale, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more wise and wonderful stories.